Second chance, you say? When it comes to the NFL, try third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh chances. There are a handful of big-named NFL players who have received too many opportunities to improve or revive their careers, only to no avail. It hasn't stopped teams from giving up on them, but it's time to take the hint on these 10 guys. Here's a look at 10 NFL players it's time to give up on. Number 10, Josh Norman. Sorry, but a fresh start with the Buffalo Bills isn't going to do much. Norman was the NFL's best cornerback during the 2015 season, earning Pro Bowl and first-team All-Pro honors. He helped the Carolina Panthers win 15 games as they reached Super Bowl 50, losing to the Denver Broncos. The Panthers curiously rescinded the franchise tag on Norman in the 2016 offseason, and he quickly inked a 5-year, $75 million pact with the Washington Redskins. But Norman wasn't a good fit in the Redskins' defensive schemes, and he became quite the liability in their secondary. Norman was even shown the bench when the occasion called for it. The Redskins mercilessly released Norman after 4 seasons before he joined the Bills, reuniting with Sean McDermott, his old defensive coordinator in Carolina. Norman is on the wrong side of 30, where most corners experience a huge regression. He hasn't been the same player since leaving Carolina, and he got worse and worse as time progressed in Washington. Norman can expect a reduced role in Buffalo. They already have a deep secondary led by shutdown corner Tre'Davious White. If McDermott and Bills fans think that Norman is about to turn back the clock 5 years after his last great season, then they're in for a disappointment. It's time to give up on Norman being a reliable starting corner. Number 9, Marqise Lee. You have to feel for the former USC star and 2012 Biletnikoff Award winner. If injuries didn't pile up so quickly, Lee could have been a reliable number 1 or 2 receiver for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Drafted in the second round, 39th overall by the Jaguars in 2014, Lee finally showed signs of promise in 2016. That year, he hauled in 63 receptions for 851 yards and 3 touchdowns. A year later, Lee caught 56 passes for 702 yards and 3 touchdowns as the Jaguars made a surprise run to the AFC Championship game, narrowly losing to the New England Patriots. Lee received a 4-year, $38 million extension in the offseason. Unfortunately, he suffered a season-ending knee injury in preseason and had to miss the entire year. A shoulder injury limited him to 6 games in 2019, as Lee finished with only 3 receptions for 18 yards. It's extremely difficult for anybody to come back from consecutive season-ending injuries, especially when it's something serious like a knee or a shoulder. Lee was released by the Jaguars in the 2020 offseason, and he is signed with the Pats, who love their reclamation projects. But Bill Belichick has had a handful of misses with receivers, and he doesn't have Tom Brady anymore. Is Jarrett Stidham really going to help the oft-injured Lee regain his old form? Not buying it. And Lee is probably the number 4 or 5 pass-catching option on the New England depth chart. Number 8, Dion Jordan. The Miami Dolphins traded up to draft the Oregon defensive end at number 3 overall in 2013. A 2-time first-team All-Pac-12 selection, Jordan was supposed to anchor a rebuilt Miami defense. Or so the Dolphins thought. Jordan was largely ineffective in his rookie year, posting just 2 sacks, 0 forced fumbles, and 5 quarterback hits. He was hit with 2 separate suspensions for his sophomore season after violating the league's PEDs policy. Then, he was suspended for the entire 2015 campaign after committing the violation once again. Jordan didn't play at all in the 2016 season, and the Dolphins cut their ties and released him after just 26 total games played. The Seattle Seahawks, renowned for their reclamation project, took a chance on Jordan in 2017, but he only had 5.5 sacks and 2 forced fumbles in his 2-year tenure with the Seahawks. Jordan joined John Gruden's Oakland Raiders in 2019, but again, he simply wasn't able to produce much. Given his troubles, lackluster production, and the fact he's already suited up for 3 teams, it's safe to say that Jordan will never live up to his full potential. Teams have to realize this and just give up already. Number 7, Mason Rudolph. Looking to prepare for the post-Ben Roethlisberger era, the Pittsburgh Steelers selected Mason Rudolph in the 3rd round of the 2018 draft.
The Oklahoma State product won the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award and the Sammy Baugh Trophy in his final season of college, so there was a good amount of hype surrounding him. When Roethlisberger went down with his season-ending elbow injury in Week 2 of 2019, the Steelers turned to Rudolph. Even though he won 5 of 8 starts, Rudolph was extremely mediocre, with just 13 touchdowns against 9 interceptions. Hardly spectacular. Rudolph's inconsistency forced Pittsburgh to turn towards undrafted rookie Devlin Duck Hodges. He didn't fare much better, but the Steelers' ferocious defense helped them salvage an 8-8 record, narrowly missing out on the playoffs. Neither Rudolph nor Hodges should be a part of the Pittsburgh succession plan. Rudolph had 2 full summers to get ready for the starting role. He performed poorly, and the Steelers should be lining up for a more qualified successor. Whether that means finding a relatively young backup like Josh Rosen or adding somebody else in the draft, the Steelers need to accept that Rudolph isn't the answer. Number 6. Eli Apple. The former Ohio State star cornerback played a pivotal role in helping them win the 2015 National Championship, where they soundly defeated the Oregon Ducks. Apple became a must-have product in the 2016 draft, and the New York Giants selected him 10th overall. Reports suggested that the G-Men actually wanted Georgia linebacker Leonard Floyd, but the Chicago Bears traded up and snagged him 1 spot before New York's pick. Still, GM Jerry Reese was thrilled about Apple, who was supposed to form a top-tier secondary with Pro Bowl safety Landon Collins. New York finished with the league's second-best scoring defense in 2016, as they won 11 games to qualify for the postseason. The Green Bay Packers dispatched them in the wild card round, however, and the Giants never recovered. The defense fell apart over the next 2 years. Apple was suspended for the Giants' final 2017 game after displaying what the team deemed to be detrimental conduct. They finally gave up on Apple and traded him to the New Orleans Saints at the 2018 trade deadline. But even Sean Payton and the Saints coaching staff couldn't help Apple maximize his talents, and they chose not to bring him back after the 2019 season. Apple signed with the Las Vegas Raiders in 2020 free agency, but not even Mike Mayock and John Gruden were capable of fixing Apple's career. He's had enough chances, and it's clear that he's better off as a 4th or 5th corner at this point. Number 5. Kevin White. After trading Pro Bowl wideout Brandon Marshall to the Miami Dolphins, the Chicago Bears thought they had found their new number 1 pass catcher. They drafted West Virginia product Kevin White with the number 7 selection in 2015. But unfortunately, injuries quickly piled up on White, who wasn't able to reach his sky-high potential. He missed his entire rookie year due to shin injuries plus a fractured tibia. He suffered a broken fibula in his sophomore year, missing all but 4 games. And in week 1 of the 2017 season, White suffered a season-ending broken bone in his shoulder. He saw just 9 games in the 2018 season, catching 4 passes for 92 yards. The Bears finally released White after 4 injury-plagued years. He signed with the Atlanta Falcons in the 2019 offseason, but they cut him before the start of the season. And feel sorry for White, who won't ever grow into a capable starting caliber wideout. His body sadly betrayed him before he even got a chance. Number 4. Greg Robinson. The St. Louis Rams held the 2nd overall pick in the 2014 draft, courtesy of the Washington Redskins and their blockbuster trade for Robert Griffin III in 2012. The Rams used that selection on Auburn offensive tackle Greg Robinson, hoping he'd be able to help protect the oft-injured Sam Bradford. But the 2013 first-team All-Sec selection never came anywhere close to reaching expectations. He made headlines in 2016 after showing up 15 pounds overweight, and then head coach Jeff Fisher decided to bench Robinson in the midst of the season. Robinson signed with the Detroit Lions in 2017, but he was waived during the season. A 2-year stop with the Cleveland Browns didn't amount to much either. Robinson was a huge liability on a downright horrendous offensive line in 2019, which caused Baker Mayfield to experience quite the sophomore slump. Huge emphasis on slump. In February 2020, Robinson was arrested after authorities busted him for possessing a reported 157 pounds of marijuana. But even before the legal troubles, Robinson wasn't producing as a starting caliber offensive tackle. He got 3 chances with as many teams, and nothing came out of it. We don't even think Bill Belichick would be able to revive Robinson's career if he tried. Number 3. Derek Carr. Unless he goes to play for Belichick or Sean Payton, we just don't see Derek Carr growing into a Super Bowl quarterback at this point. Carr hasn't been terrible by any means. He's performed better than the vast majority of quarterbacks who were taken in the second round. Just think of him as another Andy Dalton or Phillip Rivers. He puts up decent numbers and might get you to the playoffs, but he doesn't have what it takes to win it all. The Raiders have been surprisingly loyal to Carr throughout his 6 NFL seasons. Adding former Tennessee Titans starter Marcus Mariota in free agency is a smart way to put more pressure on Carr. The Raiders actually look like they're preparing to give up on him. It's unfortunate that Carr suffered the fractured fibula in Week 16 of the 2016 season. Those Raiders look poised to go on a deep playoff run, but Carr's season-ending injury ruined that opportunity. His stats look good, but a 39-55 record through 6 seasons speaks for itself. The Raiders need to give up on Carr, and unless he finds the perfect system to work in, it's hard to see this guy ever emerging as a top-tier quarterback who can take his team to the promised land. Number 2, Mitch Trubisky. The Bears made a huge mistake when they drafted Trubisky 2nd overall in 2017, passing on 2 future superstars in Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes. Yikes. The mistake is even worse because the Bears refused to cut their losses. He hasn't elevated his game in 3 seasons there. Okay, his 2018 sophomore year was actually pretty solid. He was even named to the Pro Bowl, but the Bears won the division thanks to a powerful rushing game and the league's top-scoring defense. When push came to shove, Trubisky was more of a game manager that season. Then he regressed big time in 2019. Throwing a mere 3,138 passing yards and 17 touchdowns against 10 interceptions. And don't blame the supporting cast. Allen Robinson crossed 1,000 yards, while Tarek Cohen and David Montgomery formed a tremendous running back duo. Trubisky's stats may suggest that he could be above average, but he's not. He's held back an incredibly talented Bears team that should be competing for Super Bowls. But GM Ryan Pace refuses to admit his mistake. The good news is that the Bears traded for Super Bowl 52 MVP Nick Foles. He should seriously challenge Trubisky for the starting job in 2020. And if Trubisky doesn't respond to the challenge, you can bet it'll be his final season in Chicago. It's time to give up on him as a starter. And there's nothing more to say. Number 1, Antonio Brown. He's number 1 on our list, but it certainly sounds like a handful of teams are keen on signing Antonio Brown, pending better behavior. Plus, if troubled guys like Kareem Hunt, Reuben Foster, Richie Incognito, Greg Hardy, and Michael Vick can get second chances, it's hard to rule out AB getting a shot as well. That said, teams should take all the hits and stay away from signing Brown. His legal troubles since the end of the 2018 season is the main worry. Then you factor in all the drama he causes, walking out on his team, threatening to retire over the league's helmet rules, aggressively confronting his own GM, calling out his former teammates on social media, and so on. Brown's a great player, no doubt. Prior to his tragic change in behavior, he had future Hall of Famer written all over him. But Brown hasn't done much of anything to show that he's a changed man who deserves another chance. And do teams want all of that bad PR by adding Brown? It's just not worth it. Teams will always be tempted to prioritize talent over character. They should not do that with Brown. But we're positive that the team will do it anyways. Are there any other NFL players that teams should give up on? Join us in the comments section below. And if you like this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps us out a ton, and we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea, because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.